Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of Entrepreneurship Lab. This is your host, Nevena Bajalac, welcoming you once again to the podcast where we help you grow and scale your business. And today we have a special guest coming to us all the way from Australia. Her name is Carmen Sederino. And Carmen is an incredible woman, an entrepreneur. And today we're going to talk about something that she's an expert in, and that's how can you become a phenomenal speaker and why you should be on stage sharing your knowledge and expertise. And you're going to hear an incredible story behind Carmen's success as well and her beginnings. So I hope you're excited to listen to this episode. Carmen, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Nevena. I'm very excited to be here to talk to you.
So I like to start with hearing a little bit about your story, how you started. Obviously, today you're coaching and helping so many people be on stage, but how this journey of speaking started for you?
Well, it started when I was a very little girl. So I was, believe it or not, I was actually a very, very shy child. And my mum enrolled me in a local calisthenics group. So I was probably about 4 or 5 years old at the time. And I loved going week to week and doing the practice. And then it got to concert time, and she thought, there is no way Carmen is going to go up on that stage. I'm going to have to like catch her side stage because she's going to get stage fright and it's just not going to happen. But I completely surprised her and the rest of the family when I got up on stage instead of waving and smiling. And it was just like I was at home up there. So when I was in primary school, I ended up joining a local theatre company. And again, my teachers or the whole school sometimes would come and see our productions. And my teachers would say to my parents, oh my goodness, I can't believe that's Carmen. Like she's the quiet little child up the back of the classroom just doing her work. But then she's up on stage playing these big characters with a big voice that goes all the way up the back of the theatre. And fast forward again, I ended up getting a formal qualification in acting and performance and theatre, which was a Bachelor of Performing Arts at Monash University in Melbourne. And during my second year of university, at night time, I studied acting for camera. So I did a full year's film and television acting course. So park that for a minute. That was my start, my acting background. I then sort of stumbled into a corporate job because while I was at university, I just needed a job part-time to earn some money. And I was working selling on the shop floor for a really large corporate homemaker company, I guess you'd call it, within Australia. And once I finished my degree, my boss said, oh, can you come and work for us full time? And I said, oh, no, no, no. I need to keep my days free for auditions. I can't have, a daytime, full-time job. And she said, well, what if I let you go on auditions when your agent gets you them? And in between that, you can just work for us full time. So I thought, okay, that's a pretty good deal. So I did that, and she kept her word, and I was able to go on auditions, and I got my little bits and pieces and was able to do those acting jobs. And after a couple of years, I was pretty bored selling on the shop floor. And I said to her, oh, do you think I could do anything else in this company? She's like, yeah, what do you want to do? And I ended up progressing into a state role. So within Australia, I would visit Victoria and visit all the stores and train them on customer service and sales and merchandising. A couple of years later, I became the national manager of that team and ran a national team where they would visit all of the stores within Australia and eventually into New Zealand. But we would always hire from within. So we would hire people that had a really great attitude, that were good selling on the shop floor, but they weren't necessarily good at public speaking or presentations. And as part of their new role, stepping into that state leadership role, they had to deliver 2 weeks worth of classroom training every couple of months. They had to speak at state meetings. They had to deliver in front of people that were more senior than them and also pitch out to customers. So I just naturally started coaching them while I was their manager because I just liked it. And at one point, because my role fell under the marketing department, I went and studied marketing formally and got that degree as well. So at the end of, I spent 18 years in that large corporate business, and my role continued to expand. And in the end, I was the brand manager for about a $300 million portfolio of brands. I was part of the team that would pitch to international brands to have their brand exclusively in the Australian New Zealand market. We would work with factories in China and create our own brands with our agency and distribute them within the business. And it was mine and my team's job to grow those brands and get the branches on board to sell them. So 7 years ago, I left that very safe, well-paying corporate job and tapped into my entrepreneurial side and started my own business, which is called still Illuminated Story. And it was really combining my experience, passion, and expertise all into the one business, where I now have the pleasure of working with some of the most amazing people and some of the largest brands in the world, where I help thought leaders, I guess you'd say. So it could be CEOs, elite athletes, authors, podcasters who want to get their message out there. And I help them take their really high stakes presentations and turn them into unforgettable performances. And we do that by blending traditional keynote speaking with, I call it little strategic moments of theatrical magic.
I love that. I mean, the whole story from the beginning to now, the theatrical moments of magic. Thank you for sharing your story with us. It's so amazing. And I want to go back to the beginning of you being someone who is very shy, because so many people, entrepreneurs I came across, they said they're shy, or we look up to other people on stage like, while they're born with it. And I really believe it's a skill, and you teach people, how to get on the stage. And you're an example of someone who was very shy. So what do you think happened in you? Was it something in that process of learning that you gain your power, or you felt, hey, I am maybe a shy, but I can be on stage and have my voice, or do you step in another role so you feel like you're another kind of personality when you speak? What was the process? I don't know if you remember, you were very young, but you're coaching so many people. So what is the process that maybe helped them, because step from being introvert or shy to get out and share their message, which is so important for every entrepreneur?
So true. It's so important. And you're right, Navina. Agree. It's a skill. This is absolutely a skill you can learn. For me personally, I think it was one of the things you touched on, that when I was on stage, I was playing another person, and it gave me permission to be more extroverted and be different to how I behaved day to day in my own life. In saying that, when I was in corporate and I ended up moving up the ranks fairly quickly and found myself in leadership roles and had to be up speaking in front of people, I remember one of the first times that I was just put on the spot in front of a group, I nearly died. The heart rate was racing and sweating, and all the things that people describe when they have a fear of public speaking was happening to me. And I really had to tap into some of the skills I had learned in acting to appear like I was in control of the situation when I'm up there. And in terms of clients I've worked with, one of the most extreme cases in terms of fear of public speaking was this amazing lady that was already a managing director within her firm. And her background was engineering. So she was a trained engineer, extremely smart, and had moved up the ranks because of her technical capabilities and intelligence. And then she found herself in this role where all of a sudden she was being invited to industry conferences to speak. She obviously had to speak out to her team. And there was a moment she was in a meeting room. I think there was about 40 people in the room. And this is when she rang me, because when it got to her turn to speak, she pretended she had a phone call and walked out. And when she rang me, she's like, this is what's happened. I can't do that again. I can't keep having phone calls every time I have to speak. I have to get over this. So I worked with her over an extended period of time, but I was so excited for her, because it turned out that earlier on in her career, when she was at university type age, she was fine up there back then. And something had happened along the way. She doesn't really know what it was that that caused her to not feel confident. But we were able to get that back for her, and she ended up agreeing to do a panel interview on stage in front of about 500 people, which was at a big hotel in Sydney and in front of a lot of peers. And off the back of that, she was then invited to do a keynote plus a panel at another event, which she also said yes to. So I think it's absolutely possible. It is a skill you can learn. And as an entrepreneur, it's a huge win when you work on this skill, because you can speak to so many people at once that could be prospects for you, that rather than just having to speak to them individually, you can build your brand and build your business brand by speaking at these conferences. And if you're able to choose the right audiences, it can be a big time saver and a huge win all at once by having that many people in the one space that are your ideal target market. And if you can be really powerful in that moment, then just a huge opportunity can come from it. So I'm a big advocate for it. I'm obviously biased, very passionate.
No, but it's absolutely true, because I believe, and you see there are people listening, it's not necessarily entrepreneurs, but really having the skill to present, to share a story, to train your team. It can help everyone in their corporate job, getting their promotions and becoming a leader in general. It is so important to be able to speak and pass your message. And I feel we have responsibility to share our expertise and knowledge and get out there. So I would like to know, if people are listening, maybe something very practical that can help listeners. They're about to step to do a presentation or train a team or maybe speak, like you said, on an event. It can be small or large, it doesn't matter. And they feel this paralysis or anxiety. What are some tips that you would give them maybe in that moment, that they can calm themselves and step out and still do it and not run away like your client who ran away pretending she had a phone call? So what are some things that people can do in that moment, like physically do or mentally do, to get out there and break through their fear, basically?
Well, you've touched on a couple of the key things they can do. So physically and mentally, because it's that flight or fight reaction that's happening in your body, and the adrenaline starts pumping through, and you can feel the stomach turning and the sweat coming, and the breath changes. So I'm actually working with a client at the moment who he has a big fear, and he has to speak in front of very important people, we would say, very important people, and audience to 700, so a fairly decent size audience. And I said to him, there's three things that you need to focus on. One is mindset, and then you either need to use the energy or train your body to be calm. So mindset's really important. I know it can sound, oh yeah, I know, mindset could be positive. When you think, though, about what you say to yourself in those moments, you probably say things that you would never say to a peer or a child or a friend. You know, people will say, oh, I hate this. I'm terrible at it. They're going to hate me. You're probably going to stuff up. You know, all of these things. Imagine if you were actually saying that to another person. You just would not say that. So be kind to yourself and think, I am prepared. I do know my stuff. If they ask me something I don't know the answer to, it's okay. I can say, that's a really great question. I'm going to go and find out for you, and I'll get back to you. And it could be a really good connection for an entrepreneur. It could be a reason to get back to someone and build more rapport. So mindset's huge. In terms of using the energy or calming your body down, as I said, it's the adrenaline that's pumping through your body. So if you've got time just before you're going on to even go to the toilet or something, doing 30 deep squats can be really helpful, or doing star jumps or something like that, that's using some of that energy so that you're getting rid of some and you can control your body a little bit more. If you're actually in the room and people aren't watching, so not when you're up there, but when people aren't watching and you're in the room, even just clenching your fists can get rid of some of that energy. If you're in a space where that's not going to work because people can see you, before you're speaking still, breath work is brilliant for helping to calm down your nervous system. Now, what happens when you're really nervous is you actually often take in too much breath. It's almost like you're drowning, like you keep on trying to get more air. And so what you need to do is almost starve your body of oxygen in those moments. So a really simple breathing technique that's highly effective. And a lot of actors use this when they have to go to auditions, because we get really nervous going to auditions all the time, constantly being judged, is just two counts breathing through the nose, and then 6 to 8 counts out, breathing out of the mouth. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. You don't need to take a really big breath in. It's just normal breath in for 2 counts, and then normal breath out for 6 to 8. The longer the better, but you don't want to pass out. So it might be better to start with 6, and then as you start training your body, you move out to 8 and beyond. A lot of people can go longer. Now, it's really important to start doing this leading up to a big, important talk. And important can mean different things for different people. So it might be the size of the room that makes you a bit nervous. It might be the caliber of people. It might be that the stakes are high. So it's, you pitching and it's a really big sale and you really want it. So it makes you feel anxious. So if you can start doing those breathing exercises weeks in advance, what you're doing is you're training your body that when I do this exercise, I feel really calm. And so in the moment, just beforehand, when you start doing it, it's like a muscle memory. It triggers your body and your body's like, oh, I'm really calm right now when I'm doing this exercise. So highly recommend those 3 tips.
I love that, and it's so helpful. I was actually doing it like 2 breaths and 6 out as
Good.
you were explaining. Oh, let me practice. So super, super helpful. Thank you for that, Carmen. I would love to hear maybe a story because people see you or see other people as successful speakers, brilliant, perfect. So I would love if you would be open to share a story where you did something that's like not a mistake, but something that you feel embarrassed on stage or as an actor or something where you really fail, because those moments help us realize, hey, everyone goes through this, and you just have to get over it and not judge yourself and learn in the experience. So what was maybe the funny moment or embarrassing moment or some story that can help other people change their mindset about speaking out there and see other people not as perfection, but actually it's a process where you learn and you get better.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many. If I think all the way back to one of the first ones in my corporate job, I just remember being thrown up in front of people and not really knowing my content well enough, like not knowing the topic I was supposed to be talking about. So, all the usual things happened to me that happened to other people, where my breathing changed and I went red in the face. I started making things up or trying to like just point out things that were fairly basic about the product that I was supposed to be training on, because I didn't. And I think, do you know what? Most people that are watching you actually want you to do well. So it wasn't good. I would rank myself badly if I was coaching myself now in terms of what I managed to achieve in that talk. But the people in the room understood that I was new to the role and that I'd been thrown into the deep end. And so they were being as supportive as possible in the audience while I was speaking.
Yeah,
If I think
and
of another example, though, when, yeah,
I feel like
sorry, what were you
sometimes
going to
we
say?
think that audience is judging and just looking for us to make mistakes. And I always say, don't take it so personal. People are there, and if you come with the energy that's entertaining and interesting and catching their attention, they're gonna like you. It doesn't matter if a lot of people are not native speakers, then we are stressed. Oh, am I saying the correct grammar, accent? So none of that actually matter if you connect with the audience and you deliver message.
Mm.
And I think in the process, becoming more relaxed is definitely helping. But tell us another story. I'm excited to hear.
Oh, well, I was going to say definitely. I work with a lot of people where English is not their first language, and they're so hard on themselves. And I think part of their charm is that it's not perfect English. And it doesn't matter at all, because as you said, if you build rapport with the audience and you charm them a little bit in your own individual way, then the audience wants you to do well. It's very rare for someone to be sitting in the audience thinking, gee, I hope this speaker's really terrible, because it's in their best interest that you're good. So I would say most of the time you've got the audience on your side. Well, I was going to say is that I've been put off when I'm speaking because of what I'm getting back from the audience. So sometimes I'll always remember there was a session I was running. Sorry. And one of the men in the room was giving me this really strange look on his face. I know that some people might be just listening to this and not watching, so I am doing a face expression here while we're talking. And he looked almost angry with me. And I had this out of body experience. I was quite experienced by this time. So the words were able to come out of my mouth while I was internally thinking, what am I doing that is causing him to make that face? And luckily for me, in the break, I had the opportunity to go and talk to him. And I said, oh, hi, how are you going? How are you finding the day? And he said, oh, it's very interesting. And he pulled that same face while he said, it's very interesting. And I realized in that moment that that must be his concentration face. So another thing I talk to clients a lot about is sometimes when you're up there, what you think you're getting from the audience, what you think you are or aren't getting from the audience is not actually what you're thinking it is. You know, you can have a really quiet audience and the person on stage might not be getting as much energy as they want from the audience. And you think, oh, I'm not doing as well. You know, they're not responding, but they just might be internalizing how they feel and what they're thinking. And they're just not the type of person that gives you that external validation. And when you speak to them afterwards, you can be surprised sometimes and get feedback where people are like, oh, it was amazing. Like, it really made me think about this, that, and the other. So I think when you're up there, it's your job to stay really focused. And although it's great to respond to what's happening in the moment in the room, don't make assumptions either, because sometimes your assumption is wrong and it could put you off or derail you when actually it's quite positive what the audience is experiencing.
I love that. And thank you so much for sharing. So, as we are wrapping up the episode, I just want to, first of all, thank you for being here. It was really helpful, and we can go with this topic for hours, but we don't have time. So, I want to ask you, how can listeners connect with you, on which social media platform, your website, to reach out if they want to develop their speaking skills? So, yes, if you can share that with us.
Yes, they can connect with me if they just search Carmen Sederino on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You'll find me on all of those platforms. And illuminatedstory.com is the website. And on that website, you'll find a masterclass there that really dives into the high performance keynotes that I was talking about at the start of the podcast. So if any of your listeners are interested in that, that will just give a much deeper dive and a bit of understanding as to what that looks like.
Absolutely. So guys, go and watch the masterclass. For sure, you're gonna get so much value. We already did in this episode. Make sure to leave us some likes, hearts, connect with Carmen, and share this episode with at least one person that can benefit from it. You got so many tips already here and value. So we are appreciating you subscribing, downloading, and sharing this with others as well. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode.